Hello! So, how many elephants does the world need? Are they in danger? And if so, what can we do about it? And why should we care? Those are the topics we're going to go fly through today. My name is Abby. This is Inside the Travel Lab. And if it's Thursday, if it's 4:30 UK time, it's Travel Lab Live. Hello and welcome to you all. Thank you for letting me know you're there. It is always so lovely to get feedback. And we have a very special guest this week to talk to us about this very important topic. I'm a big passionate believer of sustainable travel. I'm sure you guys are too. That is why you're joining us. Hello. Let us know where you are. Let us know if you've seen an elephant. And I will just get our special guest up right now. Thank you. Hello. Let's just see. We'll be live in a second. I'm from Cardiff this week. I don't know where our guest is actually, but she's Holly Budge from How Many Elephants? And there she is. Hi, Holly. Welcome.
Hi, Abby. How are you?
Good. Thanks. You know, just sort of trying to navigate this strange new world.
Indeed.
Thank you so much for joining us. For those of you who don't already know, and thanks for welcoming, Holly is, well, she's done many things. I don't know where to start. We're going to focus on the elephants today, but she's also the first woman to skydive onto Everest, over Everest. Tell us a bit about that first.
Kind of next to Everest. Yeah.
Next to Everest.
Yeah.
Okay. And pretty much a great adventurer. Thank you for your questions. I will keep an eye on the questions whilst Holly does the talking. We're going to be on for about 20 minutes. We're going to cover as much as we can. Anything we don't get to then we can answer in the comments, and I'll put links below. So that's to all you guys. Hi, thank you. So Holly, first of all then, tell us about How Many Elephants. Assume we know nothing.
Okay. Yeah. How Many Elephants is an awareness raising campaign. So what I essentially do is use design as a powerful communication tool to bridge the gap between scientific data on one hand and human connection on the other. So my campaign visualizes the African elephant poaching crisis data. So we showcase 35,000 elephants on a wall. This is the current annual poaching rate. And also I built this necklace when I was studying for a master's in sustainable design, because that's where How Many Elephants was born. And this necklace has won 5 design awards so far, and it really is quite a piece. And it showcases 96 elephants in vegetable ivory, which is a nut from a palm tree from South America. And I actually went along to study this material, vegetable ivory, and I sort of noticed its material similarity to elephant ivory, and that's what led me on to researching the African elephant crisis. And I was so shocked by what I was reading, I wanted to come up with a fresh way of raising awareness of this crisis. So this necklace is the 96 elephants to show the daily poaching rate. And I weaved a narrative into the piece. One elephant is hand cut in brass because the poachers' bullet shells are commonly made from brass, and one elephant is facing the other way to say that this crisis can still be turned around and that the elephants aren't extinct yet. So to actually see and connect with this data on a purely visual level is highly impactful. And I've actually purposely avoided using any gruesome or gory images, as I believe we've become desensitized to this approach. And it's allowed me to take my campaign into schools, do lots of work with young children, and also with other audiences that wouldn't otherwise necessarily be able to engage with this subject if it was too sort of gruesome and gory.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of it in a nutshell, excuse the pun, but it's about really showing the sheer scale of the poaching crisis and really raising awareness of that and taking it. The exhibition is a global travelling exhibition, and it was headed for China this year pre-lockdown. So all of that hopefully will get back in the pipeline for next year.
Yeah. And we will, of course, be putting all the links below this broadcast. But if you haven't, guys who are just joining in, do check out some of the art. It is absolutely beautiful. And there's a lot to unpack there from what you've just said, Holly, I think. But
Thank you.
The art is really striking, and I love, when I first heard about this project, it seemed an obvious fit for Inside the Travel Lab, right? It came from a background in science, and that connection between writing and photography for me, but to connect the two worlds that are often split apart wrongly, I believe, but using two together, I think is really powerful. And do check out Holly's art and design work. I'll see if I can share a few photos, but if not, check it out. It is beautiful. Now, is the necklace something, this is an aside, by the way, but is this something that we can individually buy, or do you have a limited number that can?
Yeah, I mean, I do get asked that quite a bit with that necklace. It is a one-off piece.
Right.
But what I have started doing is screen printing variations of that design, but in different colours. And they've actually become my best sellers for the charity. So 100% of each sale goes to the charity.
Into the charity.
And they're exactly the same shape as the necklace, and they've still got the same narrative and meaning. So they've proven really popular. And they're all available on our website as well.
Fantastic. Okay, so with Christmas around the corner and everyone doing online shopping, we'll have a look at that. But to the serious point, I mean, those numbers are really bad. I mean, that basically, aren't they? We're looking at extinction within a decade unless things change. Yeah, and I think that comes as a surprise to a lot of people because, I don't know, I mean, I'm lucky enough, I've been on a lot of safaris. A lot of people, that's one of their first introductions to travel in Africa. From a traveller point of view, you almost always get to see an elephant. They're not that hard to find, relatively speaking. But of course, these numbers, extinct within a decade. I was going to repeat it for everybody because I think it's worth hearing. But it's not just about the elephants, is it? As in, yes, they're fascinating to look at and travellers love them and humans love them. But it isn't just about the elephants, the importance of keeping them. Yeah. Can you talk a bit about why it's so important?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, as you've just said, quite rightly so, most travellers who go to Africa, many are going on safaris and want to see the big five, which obviously includes the iconic elephant. And a study has shown actually that one elephant can bring $1.6 million to the travel industry in its lifetime. So the thought of Africa devoid of elephants is heartbreaking enough, but putting emotion aside, losing these important ecosystem engineers will be of extreme detriment to the environment and beyond. Going back to tourism, is one of the most important industries in Africa and contributed 8.5% of the continent's GDP in 2018. And COVID-19 has halted the tourism industry. It's stopped it in its tracks overnight. And in essence, without tourism, there's no money left for managing Africa's parks, nor for conservation work. And more importantly, or most importantly, for neighbouring rural communities. So when they lose their jobs and incomes, many are forced to turn to bushmeat simply to survive. So all of this has had a huge impact, as well as what was already going on pre-COVID. And also, I think it's about not seeing any problem as too far away that it doesn't affect you. So I come up against this quite a lot where, there's a humanitarian crisis happening at the moment, and then you start trying to talk to people about the African elephant poaching crisis. And I totally get that. But also, I think COVID-19 has demonstrated that nothing exists in isolation. Everything is connected, whether we are talking about climate change, biodiversity loss, or COVID-19, it all relates to our fragile relationship with nature.
Mm. And I think a couple of years ago, I interviewed a fantastic expert in marine biology, and he was really trying to highlight the plight of sharks. And again, I think was running up against, opposition, because people were like, well, they're not even cute and cuddly. They're why do we want to save sharks?
But iconic animals, nevertheless.
Yeah, exactly. I think we'd all have a loss if they didn't have them. But he was also explaining that their importance is a sign of how healthy the rest of the marine biology is, that what we can easily see, but that sharks have a role in the water, and elephants likewise have a role on land, don't they, in helping other animals find water or habitat, as well as people who live nearby. So I think I agree with you, I suppose, that everything is interconnected, and just trying to find a way to get people to kind of connect those dots a little bit.
Absolutely. Definitely.
And on that note, because we always want to be a little bit positive because there is so much bad news, what kind of 3 tips do you think, what can we actually do watching this broadcast, apart from just feeling bad? What can we do?
Yeah. Well, and like you said, you know, there is, you know, it's such a sad thing, isn't it? And I think many people do feel incredibly overwhelmed by the scale of these problems. I know I do sometimes as well, you know, working in this field. But gestures of help and action, however small, do make a difference. So the 3 things that I would say is what is needed most right now is donations. So certainly for us, we're a small charity, and every penny that we raise, we can account for. So we work with direct action anti-poaching initiatives on the ground. And this money really does go towards keeping the rangers' boots on the ground. So one of the initiatives we work with is the Black Mambas in South Africa, an all-female anti-poaching team. And they really are testament to, to the incredible work they're doing, because they've noticed during lockdown that they didn't see an increase in bushmeat poaching. And don't get me wrong, there's been many increases in across Africa, but for them, the reason that they didn't see this increase is because they've built such fantastic relationships with the local communities, and they've spent a lot of time really nurturing and working alongside these communities. They're taking in food parcels to try and mitigate food insecurity as much as they can. And these women really are doing fantastic work on the ground. And I've had the privilege of spending a month on the front line with these women, and it was really humbling to see the pride with which they wear these uniforms, and to really see them in action. They're not only working on the front line of conservation, they're also educators. They're fantastic role models in their communities, and they are real beacons of hope too. So a lot of the money we're raising is going to them to carry on with their work. We also work with another team in Zimbabwe, Akashinga, another all-female team, who you may have just seen a National Geographic documentary's just come out. And last year I spent time with those women as well. I mean, I could talk all day about these ladies, but there is some fantastic work being done on the ground. So donations to keep these people, keep these women, and all the rangers doing their work. It would be just such a tragedy to see that all the brilliant work that's been done already to be undone. So that's one way. The second way is we are an awareness raising campaign. So simply by telling a handful of people about our campaign and what you've heard today, or going on our social media at How Many Elephants, and sharing our posts, all of this has a great ripple effect. Or thirdly, becoming a fundraiser. So if it's your birthday, or you're undertaking a personal challenge and looking to raise money for a great cause, then get behind How Many Elephants, and we can help support you too. But there's many other ways to get involved, all on our website, howmanyelephants.org. And we welcome your support. And as I said, we are happy to chat and, you know, really get to know what your needs are as well. We're a very passionate small charity, and we really do take this incredibly seriously.
Yeah. But very creatively. And for those of you just joining, we're talking to Holly, founder of How Many Elephants. We're just whizzing through in breakneck speed what they do and why it's important. The elephants are definitely under threat. It's important for the ecosystem. It's important for the economy, for people who live there. And it's important because it would be a sadder world, wouldn't it, I think, for all of us if we didn't have elephants there. So Holly was just rounding up her 3 top tips of what we can actually do to take action on this. She's also designed some fabulous artwork, and jewelry that you should definitely go and check out after this broadcast. But please give any thumbs up, likes or waves so that Instagram shows the broadcast to more people too. I think it's really great. And just recap slightly, you mentioned a couple of women only groups. Yeah. I'm just curious, if you have the time, why that? Do they have more success, or is it a different approach? What's the
Do you know what, this is a question that's asked a lot, and they just found the people that founded these two groups found that the women in the communities were a totally underutilized workforce, and so these women have been picked from the local communities. They work sort of shift work, so they're away 10 days to 2 weeks at a time and then go home for a week. So it's kind of really going against the status quo of women being at home and looking after the kids. They've now become the breadwinners, and as I said earlier, they are making such an impact. But also it's been found that women are fantastic communicators. So rather than going weapons or ego, these women are going in simply having conversations with people in the local communities, and they've found that they've really been able to de-escalate tension just using their communication skills. So the whole idea of putting women into these roles is proving incredibly successful and becoming a real movement across Africa. Like many more all female anti-poaching teams are popping up.
And it's really interesting for me to hear you talk about this idea of cooperation as well, rather than policing and force, because I think, again, a criticism that I've often heard is a sort of criticism of the poachers, and that sometimes ignores the realities of what some people who poach are doing it for, you know. And it's very easy when you are sat somewhere comfortable to kind of just say, well, I think that's wrong to do. Yeah. And it's very different when that you feel there's no other livelihood, where there is no other, you know, way of getting by. So I think that spirit of cooperation is another thing I just loved on your story. We're almost out of time, guys, but Holly, I have to ask, so we talk a lot about creative careers here as well. How did you get into this line of work? How did you build this amazing life and career for yourself?
So it started off, well, my background was design. So I've always had a real passion for design and being creative. But my background's also heavily in adventure. So when I was, quick rundown of that, when I was 21, I threw myself out of an aeroplane for the first time. And that 60 seconds of adrenaline completely changed the course of my life forever. Not only did I want to go back and do it again, I was blown away that people were getting paid to jump out of aeroplanes every day of the year. So I set myself this incredibly big goal to move to New Zealand, learn to skydive and get employed as a camera woman. And that's exactly what I did. Took quite a huge amount of work and dedication, but I did get there and was getting paid to jump out of aeroplanes up to 10 or 12 times a day, every day. But this gave me this massive confidence and self-belief that I could do whatever I put my mind to. And that was 2 decades ago. And I've tried to keep that 21-year-old mindset going. And that's led me on all sorts of amazing adventures that I've been sponsored to do, including summiting Everest 3 years ago. And through my adventures, I raised funds for my charity. So to date, for various charities, I've raised over £400,000. But it's only really been in the last few years that the stars have aligned, and I've really figured out how to use my passion for design with my love of adventure to make a difference in the world of conservation. So that was the very brief version of that story.
So it feels like I could ask you questions for hours. This is great. Sorry, we're so short of time. It also makes me laugh to realise how different we are, because I jumped out of a plane once, so I thought, oh my God, I'm never doing that again. But I fully connected with the idea of, wanting to keep the best parts of that 21-year-old spirit that, you know, if not you, who? Yeah. And how do other people do it? And if they've managed to do it, how can I do it? You know, just that kind of great open-minded approach, which I think we all need more now than ever, I think, as we face up to COVID-19. Thank you so much, Holly, for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Really grateful. I'm going to sign you off now and try and get one of your photos up for the cover for Instagram. But it has been an honour. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Below. Thanks very much.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Wow, guys, how inspirational was that piece of work and that story? Here's the photo up for the end. I just love this series. I hope you're enjoying them as much as I am. There are so many great people out there in the world doing really great things, showcasing incredible projects that are really aimed at, you know, sustainable travel. It's not about everybody being cooped up forever, but it's not about ruining the earth. It is about doing what makes you come alive and trying to help out at the same time. So thank you ever so much for joining us. Every single interaction is gratefully received. I will put the links in the replay down below if Instagram plays right. And do join us next week when we'll be heading to Amsterdam. It will be Thursday, 4:30 again. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Abby, and this is Inside the Travel Lab. Cheers now. Bye.